Welcome back to More Than a Score. I'm your host, Elijah Fields. I'm here with a very special guest, one of my great friends, CC Mays. CC, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great right now. So pretty much before we get into this, I want to tell the people how this came about. I got a text last week, in the middle of the day, saying pretty much I got something on my mind.
Right.
What's so special about CC is, she's the ultimate journey woman. You know, she's been in the same place for 5 years at Marshall University. It has a very unique story, CC's story. So if you don't mind, I'd like to go ahead and elaborate to the people.
Do your thing, bro.
So CC, you had some injuries coming out of high school, so you were a little bit stunted in the recruiting process. But then there was one head coach in the Conference USA took a chance on you by the name of Tony Kemper. Shout out TK. And then, you get here literally in the midst of the pandemic. Like, it wasn't the beginning, but it was like right after COVID started. And essentially that's how you were introduced to college basketball. And then after that, you have your sophomore year, first year of like real basketball since the pandemic. And then the season's cut short in the conference tournament, first round. And then, move conferences into the Sun Belt. And then, have that conference tournament, doesn't really go Marshall's way. Also, real quick, I always brag about how I work for Marshall women's basketball. She is one of the bright spots of, what I get to do on a daily basis. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, no success there. So then there's a coaching change.
Yeah.
Marshall admin decides to bring in Kim Caldwell, who is now the Tennessee head coach. At the time, that was a big adjustment for everybody because of the style of play. And there was I don't want to say hesitation, but there was a slight pause in, that decision-making process. And then you go through what is essentially your senior year. And you had the chance to do something very unique. You could have, had the experience of going to the NCAA tournament and, getting your ring and just graduating, going off into the sunset. Yeah. And then just because of the success that, the program was able to obtain, you were greeted by, some earth-shaking news, some world-shaking news that, she gets the Tennessee job. And, obviously we're happy for her because everything that she has now, she's earned. And, anyone who's been around Coach Kim knows that. But now you're here and, everyone who knows you knows your favorite player is LeBron.
Greatest player of all time, by the way.
Pretty much this, you're given a situation like him, people are asking, hey, like, what does this mean for CC? And not just you, your roommate, your best friend, your running mate, Ariana Redmond. You guys are
shout out Dirty 30.
Shout out Ari for show, AR30. You guys are essentially like a package deal. So when the news breaks, it's like, hey, like, what are CC and Ari going to do? And that's the ultimate question you've been getting. Obviously, the portal closes, and here we are getting ready to start the summer. Yeah. And you've decided to, stay here in Huntington, run it back one more time for your final season with Marshall women's basketball. And in the midst of all that, you've managed to start a music career and launch that. And just, backtracking a little bit, the first year in the Sun Belt Conference, you tore your meniscus, had to go through that whole process, and that kind of, also jump-started your music career because you had a lot of time to, really sit and express yourself. So after hearing all that, CC, what do you want to talk about?
I mean, we can kind of dive into just like, really like you said from the beginning, just coming in from COVID. It was kind of tough, like my first day on campus that I ever got here, they told me I had COVID. And this was around the time that nobody really knew what COVID was. So here they are telling me I had COVID. I'm thinking I'm about to die. I had to quarantine. Yeah. That was tough. That first year was just kind of hard because it wasn't like a normal college experience. I mean, any athlete that came in 2020 that's in my class, they can testify to this experience. It wasn't a normal college experience. It was definitely crazy. I had a lot of fun just because it brought me closer to, my people. But, it was definitely an experience for sure. Here
at More Than a Score, we're big on shout outs. As you guys know, shout out some of the greatest roommates you had at that time during that COVID period.
I miss y'all. 2064L. Shout out Sarah Lib.
Yeah.
Shout out Ksenia. Shout out Ari. I miss y'all. I love y'all to death, man.
So just kind of unpacking from the beginning when you first get here, for anyone who's not a college athlete, like, talk about that experience of literally having to do your off-season workouts from your room. And then you get into the season, and then you have to do them again in your room.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's kind of like you could just never get in a groove for real. It's like, you know, we were on Zoom, literally on Zoom, doing like YouTube workouts with the coaches. And I'm like, man, what the heck is this? Like, this is kind of wild. And then it's like you finally get back on the court for maybe like a week or two, and then somebody else diagnosed with COVID, and then it's like you're back in quarantine. So we were in quarantine for a couple of months in a row. Honestly, it was not, that time was not fun at all.
Looking at where you are now, and it's funny we talk about COVID because you're now entering your COVID year. If you could just kind of highlight some of the stuff in between that's gotten you to, you know, this COVID year. And obviously, again, it was a big decision that, you know, you played this last year out for Marshall.
Yeah.
You had the option to go other places. You had the option to go closer to home. You know, I know you're a big family person, and, you know, I know your parents, and they would have loved to see you play a lot closer to South Beach, you know, Southern Florida. Shout out Tampa. But just talk about, you know, everything that's led you up to this point.
Well, you know, Coach Kim leaving, that was kind of like a heartbreaking thing. It was kind of like a bittersweet because obviously, like, I love Coach Kim to death. I'm happy for her. But, you know, it was just sad to see her go. That definitely, it made me feel like I was ready to go. Like, both Ari and I, we were having some tough conversations, a lot of emotional conversations, just about what the future, you know, would look like. And for a while, I just was set on, it's time for me to go. Like, I've done my 4 years here. Like, it's time for me to go. But, you know, just the way things turned out, just, you know, outside, it kind of gave me like a perspective on what life would be like after basketball, because, you know, this could be my final year, but I technically have 2 years of eligibility left, which is crazy. So, like, you know, it could be my final year depending on how it goes. I don't really know, but just it gave me a perspective on what life would be like outside of basketball, and it only made sense to stay here because of the connections that I built, you know, the opportunities that are still present here, you know, and I still feel like we can compete for a championship. You know, we lost our coach, but we lost a few players, but we still have a good core. So it's kind of like, it's not like, it was sad in the moment, and I didn't want to make a decision based off just strictly emotions, you know. So I kind of had to like remove myself from the situation, like take a step back and just examine it from a bird's eye view. If that makes sense.
No, that's really special because that's one of those days you'll never forget. Like, you'll always remember what you were doing, where you were, who you were with, you know, when you hear news like that. And, you know, Coach Kim, she essentially bought something to Marshall that hadn't really been here.
Facts.
In a quite a long time, if I'm not mistaken, I believe since '97. And that's the concept of winning. Like, she literally, you know, took a team that wasn't really hers, because if you look at the roster turnover, all the majority of the players except for 4 of them were here the year prior, and she essentially built, you know, a winning program in the span of 1 year. Like, anyone who knows anything about college basketball or college athletics period knows how crazy that is. Talk about that turnaround and what, like, because I saw the day-to-day grind, I saw the running, I saw the workout, I saw, like, the hardest part of that, which was essentially trying to learn the philosophies and, you know, the system. So talk about the mental side of that whole process. It
was definitely tough. It was definitely a tough adjustment at first. Just as far as just, you know, Coach Kim, she likes to attack you mentally, not in a bad way, but like, she just tries to get you to out your comfort zone and then push you to be better. And it was hard at first. You know, we struggled. In the beginning, we were actually trash. Like, a lot of people don't know. In the beginning, like, all people see is we won a championship. In the beginning, we was 2-4. Like, we lost to some teams that we should not have lost to. But even going back to the summer, like, just those 6 a.m. workouts, just the day in and day out grind, the running, the throwing up in workouts, about to pass out, like, it was crazy. But, you know, and I'll never forget this. In the beginning of the season, Coach Kim, not even before the season started, she sat us down and she asked us, she was like, "What's your goals for this season?" And, like, everyone was going around the room saying their goals, and she kind of got upset because she was like, none of y'all said winning a championship was your goal. And that kind of put things into perspective, because it's like, you know, you're playing, you're just so used to playing, you're so used to a culture. It's like it's kind of like we didn't even think it was possible. Like, we knew we were good, but we never like had somebody really believe, like truly believe, like we can win a championship this year. And she came in and she had a list of goals, and we completed all of them except one. We wanted to be undefeated at home. We weren't, but it was kind of crazy. Like, it was just like, I tell people all the time, people think I'm funny. Like, people think I'm trying to be funny, but she's like a prophet for real. Like, she literally said this in the beginning of the season, and then it happened. It was just kind of crazy to like have somebody believe in us, and then we put in the work, and you know, we just made it happen.
And going down the alley of things you've accomplished, like, talk about like what I think is so special is you started a music career at one of the more prevalent lows. You know, you were projected to be a starter that year. You know, obviously we're in a new conference, and last year was special because that was the Sun Belt Conference's first taste of CC Mays. Just talk about that time period where, you know, you're fresh out of surgery and then you're kind of figuring out like what's next.
I mean, I've kind of always been like making music like my whole life, but I feel like that time period, like I had surgery. I kind of like lost my identity in a sense, because for so long, like basketball was who I was. Basketball it consumed my life. Like, that was just, you look at me and you, oh, she's a basketball player. But like, so then I got hurt, and it's like, okay, what now? Like, you can't do this for the whole year. So it's like, music was kind of like my way to cope, or like my way to like express myself and express my just emotions that I'm going through, whether that's whatever I'm going through in life. And you know, just having surgery, it gave me a glimpse on what life is like without basketball, you know. So it's kind of like it helped me to find things that I like to do besides that. And it's more than just music, you know. I do a bunch of things that I like to do, but
tell them about it. Go ahead, brag on yourself. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, so I run multiple businesses. I just try to you know, expand myself in any way that I can, you know, just trying to set myself up for when basketball's done, because, you know, I don't want to play professionally. A lot of people think that that's crazy, that I don't want to play professionally, but I used to have dreams and aspirations, but, you know, life just, like, I feel like me getting hurt, it kind of put things in perspective, and it's like, hey, like, don't get me wrong, I still love the game of basketball, but it's just not something that I see myself doing as like a career.
Oh. With the name of the game being called More Than a Score, you kind of peeled the lid back on a can of worms. I kind of want to go ahead and peel that thing all the way back. You talk about, you know, an injury changing not changing, but essentially redirecting your love for something you've grown up doing. Like, you know, I'm sure you were an AAU kid. The AAU circuit and the AAU scene down there in Florida is no joke. But like, you grew up in that, like that is and again, like, I know your parents, like, you have some of the most amazing supportive parents, like, shout out to them.
No, for real.
But like, just talk about that.
Like, when I decided I didn't want to play professionally, or what?
When you decided, like, I still love the game, but I can love the game in different ways. Because a lot of people struggle with that, especially when you get towards the end of the career. Like, talk about that.
No, yeah, I definitely struggle with that too. It's like, you can still have a love for the game, but like, it doesn't have to consume you. And for so long, like, it's just like basketball was all I knew. So it was like I said, I had an identity crisis. Like, I didn't know who I was. Like, I couldn't walk. I couldn't even get myself to go to the restroom on my own. Like, it was hard. Like, it was hard for a long time. And anybody who has surgery, like, whether it's a knee, an Achilles, whatever,
elbow,
like, you know what I mean?
hand,
like, whatever. Like, it's when when the thing that you love is taken away from you, it's kind of like it forces you to look yourself in the mirror and like be like, okay, like, you know, is this gonna make you or break you? You know, and I didn't want it to break me, so I found other things that I love, and you know, and I feel like me having surgery, it made me appreciate the game more. It made me, you know, like, not take it for granted. I never forget, like, when I got cleared to run again, like, I literally, like, I live maybe 5 minutes from the gym driving wise, but it's like a mile, like, running wise. I would run to practice every day just because the simple fact that I literally could not walk or run, and it drove me crazy. Like, it just made me appreciate not even just basketball. It made me appreciate life more. Like things that we take for granted, walking. Like that's something so simple, but it's like that's a big thing. You know what I mean? Like
on the topic of things that we take for granted, as an athlete, you can attest to this. Water is a underrated, commodity. And if I had to summarize this past year, no, truthfully, like you've woken up in the middle of the night and been like, man, I need some water.
Nah, facts.
But I would say that this year was like a big refreshing gulp of ice cold water in terms of like, as a student manager, I see what you guys go through day in, day out. And your process was a little bit different because you were coming back from injury and you were, you did have a bigger chip on your shoulder, something to prove. When that confetti hit, or when the buzzer hit and that confetti flew in the air, and this is how I knew you were fully healed. I could not catch you in Airy. Like literally, you guys sprinted so fast because you were the first people I wanted to celebrate with. Because like I said, yours was a little bit more higher of a mountain to climb. I could not catch you in Airy, so I had to yell like, "What are they going to say now?" In that moment, like just talk about that moment.
I mean, I honestly still get chills thinking about it. Like I actually just watched. No, for real. I just watched the championship game the other day. It's not even real. Like I didn't think, if you asked me the day first of all, the day that I got surgery and then the day that I came back, if you were to tell me like, hey, like next year you're gonna win a championship, I would look at you and be like, man, get out my face. Like I'm not even trying to, like I'm just trying to come back, I'm just trying to hoop, like trying to impact. I wasn't thinking about like, and that's crazy to say, but like that's just not even in a negative way, that's just the culture that was at our school. Like it was like we knew we were good, but like no one ever thought like championship that's attainable. Like so to actually do it, man, like and a lot of people they hated on us. Like I think we were ranked like ninth. In the bottom. Yeah, like
ninth. We were ranked.
They hate ninth. Like they be hating on us. And you know what's crazy? I have a feeling next year they're gonna do the same thing to us. Like for whatever reason, bro, they hate us. Like they be, it's like a small circle of people that love us, but a lot of haters. Like,
so More Than a Score is feel-good based content, not really into the tea or the spiciness of sports. But when I said, what do you want to talk about, I was hoping you would kind of segue into that. So now you've climbed the mountain, standing on top until the ball tips off. But people are going to try to knock you guys off that mountain. So you've got the championship. The rings are coming. Now you have to defend it. So what does defending it look like, and what does defending it under new head coach Julie Folks look like?
I'm actually excited you brought that up because a lot of people I've been seeing, they're like, oh, they're gonna be trash, like they lost their coach, like whatever. But you gotta think we still have a lot of our pieces that we still had, and it's like we know what it takes to win a championship now. Now it's just about like holding each other accountable and keeping that same culture, that same work ethic, that same standard. Like we know what it takes. We know the condition that it takes to get there. We know the work that it takes outside of practice, putting up shots, recovery. Like that's like a big thing that, it was always emphasized, but like last year, like just actually going through the whole process, like we know what it takes to win. So it's like, I feel like, and Coach Folks, like she's a good coach. Like she won at her last school a lot. Like a lot of people are sleeping on us, but I can't wait. It's going to be a show to watch for sure.
And, obviously I'm a little biased, but I asked that question not to pose any sort of like front running or, bragging rights or anything like that. Like that's a legitimate question. And you legitimately believe that, in this building or in the building, you guys have the pieces to run it back. I mean, ultimately it's yours until, it's taken from you. So if you, would be so kind, talk about some of the new pieces we've brought in, coaching staff wise, player wise. Just talk about some of the pieces you're looking forward to getting in the gym with, getting in the film room with.
Well, I've definitely I've been in the gym with Coach Mikasa. She's been cool. I'm still trying to get to know the new coaching staff. I've been talking to Coach Folks quite a bit since I'm staying here for the summer. But one thing that we were lacking last year was like size. So I think I'm just more excited to bring in those new pieces. Those big forwards, those big posts that can really impact in the paint. So I'm excited to see how we gel together, and I'm excited to see what the outcome will be.
So, we're getting towards the end, but there are just several burning questions that I have to ask you. Because you are getting close to the end of your playing career.
Yeah.
What do you want to be remembered for? When you hang up that number 3 jersey, that CC Mays number 3 jersey that is, so heavily sold in our local sporting goods store, in our bookstore. When you hang that jersey up, like, what do you want to be remembered for?
Just a hustler, man, hard worker, positive energy, bright light. When people think of me, I want them to smile, because I like to bring intensity. I like to bring energy. I like to make people feel good. I just hope that people remember me in a positive way,
To that little girl, whether it's the little girl in, Tampa, Florida, or the little girl at the local YMCA here in Huntington, who has dreams and aspirations of playing, college basketball or high-level basketball. I mean, what's your message to that little girl? Because you were once that little girl.
I would just say don't give up, Throughout my entire basketball career from middle school to now, like, there's just been a lot of people telling me things I can't do. Oh, she can't do this. She can't do this. Like work ethic the results will show. You can shut people up just by working hard and not giving up and just pouring into yourself every day, and living with the results of knowing that you did everything you could. So.
When you sum all of it up, what's the ultimate end goal with the music and the business ventures? And obviously, you're still mixing in your love for basketball.
Yeah.
Like I know you'll never get away from the game.
We do need to talk about the music a little bit more. But,
talk to him. Come on, talk to him. Steve. Go ahead. Don't gatekeep on my podcast. All right, because I wouldn't come to your podcast and gatekeep. So go ahead and let me know.
Before I get into that. I don't know. I actually just started taking music seriously. Before, I would just make music and just keep it close to me and never show anybody, just because it was something that it was an outlet for me. But now I'm finally starting to I'm actually dropping music. I got an EP coming out June 20th. Y'all go check that out. EP
do we have a
June
name 20th. For the EP?
To be determined. I have some ideas, but I don't want to say.
If you want to gatekeep, that's all right.
I'm going to gatekeep that. But EP dropping June 20th. But what my expectations and outcomes, I don't really, I never really had any until recently. I just want to grow my fan base. And, if you rock with me, you rock with me. If you like my music, then go listen to it. If you like my content, got a lot of content coming out this June. Yeah. Just, if you love me, support me. If not, it is what it is. You feel me?
To kind of wind it down, because, the music, you see a lot of athletes doing it. Just talk about, because I remember we were at App State for a shoot-around, and I played what I thought was one of, your better songs. I enjoyed listening to it, and you were like, hey, turn that off. And then Ari was like, hey, we don't play that song. She don't like that song. I'm like, whoa.
Man.
And then you deleted it. So to see how hard you were on yourself about your music was interesting. Just talk about, how important and how sacred that process is to you.
I don't know why, because it's I don't know why, because I'm the most outgoing person, but when it comes to stuff that I'm that I care, it's close to my heart, I'm mad shy about it. I don't know why. I think it's because
CC. You shy? Come on now.
That's what I'm saying. You wouldn't expect that. You would not expect that. But I don't know. It's just I feel when I'm making music, it's me, almost me at my most vulnerable state.
Yeah.
So it's I could put hours into a song, and then for somebody to be oh, I don't like it. That's one of my biggest fears, if I'm being honest. Yeah. But I'm getting over that. It is what it is. If you like me, then you like me. If you don't, you don't. But either way, I know my music is hard, so it's I'm trying to overcome that slowly but surely.
But moving forward, though, before we get off of here, if you have any piece of advice for anyone, usually what I like to do for people who come on here, just say what's on your mind.
And this is something I tell myself every day, just face your fears, bro. I'm still in the process of trying to do that every day, just facing my fears, who cares? I almost cuss. I ain't gonna hold you. I almost just cuss. Who cares what people think, though? Who cares what people think? But it's it's easier said than done, because, anxiety is like real. I suffer from anxiety a lot, but like, yeah, bro, just face your fears, you know, just because you're never going to get anywhere in life by just being complacent and staying in your comfort zone. You got to get outside your comfort zone to be able to do great things. And this season taught me that alone. Like, stepping outside my comfort zone, running a sprint even when I'm tired, like working hard, showing up to practice early even when I don't want to. Like, it's kind of like it ties into life in general, not just one specific thing, not basketball, not whatever you're doing, music, business, like just it ties into everything, just facing your fears and trying to overcome adversity, trying to overcome whatever life throws at you. So that's my advice, man. Face your fears.
One last thing that I have to, you know, get from you. You know, what events do you have coming up this summer? You know, you did mention you were going to be here for the whole summer, and if I know one thing about CC Mays, you know, either she is the party or she brings it with her. So you know, let me know what events you got coming up. So let the people of Huntington know. This can be for the people of Huntington.
I got a couple of things coming up, but the main thing, my birthday is June 26th. We throwing a banger party of the summer in West Virginia, June 29th. If you're not doing nothing, show up. Even if you is doing something, still show up, because you're not going to miss this. It's going to be so much fun. It's going to be turned, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to say too much, but pop out for CC's 22nd birthday. Deuce.
She said, I don't know about you, but I'm feeling 22. CC, I appreciate you coming through. Ooh, that was.
I appreciate
Hold on. Hey, if you use that, I need my little copy.
Weak. I'm so weak.
CC feeling 22. Thank you for coming through. Okay.
I'll probably never say that.
Okay, all right. That's but I do appreciate you coming through. It's all love, you know, always love you. You're always going to be one of my favorite people. You know that. But I appreciate you coming through and sharing, you know, essentially another piece of yourself on this platform.
Thanks. Thank you for having me, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right. And that's all here on More Than a Score.